Kunja Bihari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parabhijakacharya. Asto Tarasata Sri Śrīmad His Divine Grace. Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parabhijakacharya. Asto Tarasata Sri Śrīmad His Divine Grace. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Mahārāja Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai. Sri Namacharya Srila Hari Das Thakur Ki Jai. Prayam Sekao Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shanmakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Grantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sanyavadi Paschata Deshatarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So good morning. Thank you for coming. Beautiful Mayapur where it rains without raining. 99% humidity. That's a fact. So today's class, the beautiful Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 4, Text 5. Rājovāca samīcīnaṁ vaco brahman sarva-jñasya tavānagha tamo viśīryate mahyaṁ hareḥ kathayataḥ kathām rājovāca samīcīnaṁ vaco brahman sarva-jñasya tavānagha tamo viśīryate mahyam hareḥ kathayataḥ kathām rājovāca samīcīnaṁ vaco brahman sarva-jñasya tavānagha tamo viśīryate mahyaṁ hareḥ kathayataḥ kathām. Rājovāca, the king said, samīcīnaṁ, perfectly right, vaca, speeches, brahman, O learned brahmana, sarva-jñasya, one who knows all, tava, your, anagha, without any contamination, tamaḥ, by the darkness of ignorance, viśīryate, gradually disappearing, mahyam, unto me, hareḥ, of the Lord, kathayataḥ, as you are speaking, kathām, topics. Translation. Mahārāja Parīkṣit said, O learned brahmana, you know everything because you are without material contamination. Therefore, whatever you have spoken to me appears perfectly right. Your speeches are gradually destroying the darkness of my ignorance, for you are narrating the topics of the Lord. So I say, and you can repeat, Mahārāja Parīkṣit said, O learned brahmana, you know everything because you are without material contamination. Therefore, whatever you have spoken to me appears perfectly right. Your speeches are gradually destroying the darkness of my ignorance. For you are narrating the topics of the Lord. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The practical experience of Mahārāja Parīkṣit is disclosed herein, revealing that transcendental topics of the Lord act like injections when received by the sincere devotee from a person who is perfectly uncontaminated by material things. In other words, reception of the messages of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam from professional men, heard by karma-kāṇḍīya audience, never acts miraculously as stated here. Devotional hearing of the messages of the Lord is not like hearing ordinary topics. Therefore, the action will be felt by the sincere hearer by experience of the gradual disappearance of ignorance. Yasya deve para bhaktir yatha deve tatha goro tasyaite kathayataḥ hyartaha prakashane mahatmanaha Svetashar Upanishad 6:23. When a hungry man is given food to eat, he feels satiation of hunger and the pleasure of dining simultaneously. Thus, he does not have to ask whether he has actually been fed or not. The crucial test of hearing Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is that one should get positive enlightenment by such an act. Oma gyan timarandasya gananjana shalakaya chakshur unmilitam jena tasmai sri gurve namaha Sri Chaitanya manobishtam shtapitam jena bhutale swayam rupa kada mahyaṁ dadanti swapadantakam. Hey Krishna karuna sindhu dina bandhu jagat pate gopesha gopeka kanta radha kanta namostute tapta kanchan gaurange radha brindavaneshwari brisha vanustute devi pranamami hari priye. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Panchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Payevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So once again the verse, Mahārāja Parīkṣit said, O learned Brahman, you know everything because you are without material contamination. Therefore, whatever you have spoken to me appears perfectly right. Your speeches are gradually destroying the darkness of my ignorance. If you are narrating, for you are narrating the topics of the Lord. So, this is a very important statement in this verse. So I think everyone here has experienced the situation to where we come in contact with Krishna's devotee, and the devotee imparts this philosophy to you, and then there is some feeling. You feel like I'm being cleansed. You walk away. Sometimes you feel like you're a totally different person, isn't it? That's because you had this is what we would refer to as a life-changing event. You've had a change of heart. Now this is going to continue. It's going to continue as you hear more from more speakers who are uncontaminated by the material energy. So this is the process. This is very important. Meaning that the speaker can't take this opportunity of having a group together to mix in some personal feelings or some maybe a little politics. So national politics, societal politics, you see. These things do not give us the feeling of cleansing. This politics and arguments that even that we may have amongst ourselves don't really make you feel like you've had a change of heart. You don't walk away feeling like you do when you hear from someone who's uncontaminated. What does that mean? It means we're not attached to the material energy. So the nature of the material energy is to always, constantly try to attempt to attract you. The living entity came from the spiritual world to this material world to get away from Krishna. That's basically it. We wanted to get away from Krishna. Some people say, why? If Krishna is so attractive, then why would we want to get away from him? Because perhaps we were a little bit envious, you know? I mean, why is it that when I'm there and Krishna's there, everyone is looking at Krishna? Everyone's listening to Krishna. They laugh at Krishna's jokes. They don't laugh at my jokes all the time, but they laugh at all of his. You see, people are always offering things to Krishna. Why not me? Why, I'm beautiful too. I think I can do this Krishna thing, you know? What's Krishna got that I don't have? Except all the attention. So the living entity needs a little bit of attention. So, but you can't do that at home. You can't do that in Goloka Vrindavan. You see, you can't compete with Krishna. No matter how beautiful you may be as part and parcel of Krishna, Krishna is always more beautiful. So you need to go someplace else. So it's not that Krishna gets upset, and he gets angry, and he says, security, got to get this guy, take him out of here. It's not like that. It's kind of like, well, is this what you want? You'd like to be away from me. Well, there is no away from Krishna. Krishna is the source of everything. Everything emanates from Krishna. So everything that we see, this microphone, this table, this everything, this is all Krishna's energy. So how can you get your desire? How can you get away from Krishna? How's this even possible? It's not. So we have to have some trick of your consciousness. So therefore Maya comes into play and does her service. Maya's service is to delude you. You know, forget about Krishna. You want to forget about Krishna? Let me show you a whole world without Krishna. Well, you can go there and you'll forget, not only forget that there's a Krishna, but at some point in your journey through this long trip through this material world, you're going to even believe that there is no God. And you're going to maybe try to be God. You're going to try to be the center of attention, which is what you wanted. That's why you left. So, do we want to be the center of attention? Well, if I took a picture of this beautiful group, you know, if I took a snapshot and then I passed the picture of the group around, who's the first person you're going to look for? Good old numero uno. You know, you're going to look and say, oh, I had my eyes closed. Can we take another one? You know, my face looks puffy. Oh, my hair. Oh, you see? No, we want to be the center of our own attention, and we are. We have this flaw called self-interest. Prabhupada says this is the poison, self-interest. You see, this is something that does not exist at home in Goloka Vrindavan. Self-interest is not there. Everyone is interested in Krishna because of the principle of bhakti. Bhakti means I have a beloved and I only want to please my beloved. That's all. I just want to please my beloved. My beloved is Krishna. Not only that, but since Krishna is my truly beloved, he's surrounded by all these beautiful living entities, and he's the center of their attention too. And I see how this devotee, look how nicely she's serving my beloved Krishna. Well, I feel affection towards this one and all these. Why, there's admiration. I admire how you serve our beloved Krishna, you see. I respect how you serve Krishna. So there's love, admiration, and respect. This is your natural situation as a living entity. This is reality. It's the only reality. To have love, respect, admiration, and so much more we could go on, of all of the parts and parcels around us that are serving Krishna. And Krishna is first. And amongst all of this, between Krishna and this loving, living entities, his parts and parcels, there's no room for self-interest. There's no room. But you get a little self-interest because you kind of want to compete. I want to be as good as, maybe a little better than Krishna. So, now sometimes when I'm talking like this, people say, well, if Goloka Vrindavan is perfect, if it's a perfect place, then how can something as imperfect as this possibly happen? So, well, it has to be able to happen. You have to be wired to make a mistake. Otherwise, you would just be operating like a computer, some computer program, you see. Oh, look at Krishna. Isn't he beautiful? Please accept this flower. You know, just programmed. Now, you have to have free will. And you have to be able to, for the free will to have effect, you have to be able to make a mistake. So the mistake is self-interest. I become a little self-interested in me. So therefore, I'm not so impressed with this Krishna. I think I can do it as well. And I don't like all the rest of you because I can't be your center of attention. So then I'm going to take that. The next boat to the material world, put me on it. I'm going. So we come to the material world, and it's full of distractions from Krishna, you see. Instead of being surrounded by people who are loving and adoring Krishna and putting Krishna first and foremost in all of their words and thoughts and actions, you're surrounded by people who are not putting Krishna anywhere in their life. I mean, there's a few people who have some worship of God, maybe a lot of people. But what is the basis of that worship? Huh? Give me something. Sense gratification. Hey, God, you got a lot of stuff. I need a lot of stuff. So I'll do a little worship, I'll do a little puja, and you give it this way, you know. Let's do some business. It's kind of like that. I'll do for you, you do for me. I scratch your back, you scratch mine. You know, I want money. You've got a lot of it. So I'll tell you what, I'll do some puja, worship. I'll even say good things about you, and you put some money in my account. You see, make it easy for me, so we can work together. So this is not bhakti. So this is your self-interest, which you developed. That's why you had to leave. Becoming a little bit purified. At least you know that the source of what you want for you comes from God. And so what does he want? He just wants a little puja. It's a heck of a good deal, isn't it? So I'm starting to like God a little bit. Well, I'm not loving him yet, but it depends on how much money he gives me. You know, my love could amp up here. So this is the nature of this material world. It's full of people and things and situations that attract your attention away from Krishna, away from God. So when we speak with people, even sometimes devotees, there's in this discourse, it may be laced with things that are not pure, things that are material, you see. So you may get some enlivenment from the conversation, but then there's some of it that may agitate you, because why? The devotee's talking about some, and they even say, well, it has to do with Krishna, or it has to do with our movement, but you don't feel so enlivened, right? Why is that? Because it's not. It says here in the purport, you're not narrating the topics of the Lord. Your speeches are gradually destroying the darkness of my ignorance, for you are narrating the topics of the Lord. So the safe bet, if we want to stay in the safe zone, is to always narrate the topics of the Lord. So to do that, we have to hear. As Vaisheshika Prabhu says, you've got to hear a lot. You've got to hear a lot every day. You have to come to class. You have to read. If you can't come to class, you need to hear a class. You need to read Prabhupada's books. You need to stay in that zone. You see, and this will push away the darkness of your ignorance. And if you learn a lot of other things that really don't pertain to Krishna, that's ignorance. You're learning ignorance. You're learning, you can learn so many things, and you can have so many PhDs. I've got one friend who has 3 PhDs. I don't know why you would need 3 PhDs. I guess to be famous, you know. Maybe get some profit, maybe some adoration, distinction. So these are material desires. Some fame, some profit, some adoration, distinction. So this is part of the reason why we left Goloka Vrindavan, because we want this fame. I want to be as famous as Krishna. Why can't I? You see? So maybe I get a PhD, and then maybe some profit. Well, maybe profit will come. Maybe if I get 2 PhDs, I'll double the profit. If I've got 2 PhDs, maybe even more, and a lot of profit, you can bet I'm going to be famous. You know, they're going to know me. When I go into a restaurant, people are going to say, "Do you know who that is over there? The guy's got 3 PhDs." You know, so yeah, this is working. I got away from Krishna, and I'm here in this world, and I can get this world to work for me. This world can fulfill my material desires. You see, and through all of this profit and fame and distinction, I'll get some adoration. Someone will adore me like they do Krishna. Like Krishna's adored like crazy. This is what I wanted. Krishna's rich. I'll have some profit, fame, distinction, adoration. And so this is what keeps us going in the material world. People will work so hard day after day, lifetime after lifetime, to get this fame, profit, adoration, and distinction. So it's the duty of any of us who consider ourselves preachers. Now, what do I mean by preacher? There's preachers and then there's teachers, and we need them both. Teachers will teach you. They'll tell you this and they'll tell you that. And it's very wonderful, very educational, very enlightening, very enlivening. But a preacher actually wants you to take a step. I'm teaching you, and the purpose of my teaching is I want you to take a step up. Will you do that? You see? Can you chant this Hare Krishna? Well, yeah, I think I can. How much? Well, maybe 5 minutes a day. Oh, that's good, 5 minutes a day. Could you do 10? Oh, yeah, I guess I could. You see, so the preacher is trying to push you to do something. So for the teacher and the preacher to have the effect, the desired effect, it's got to be without material contamination. Then what happens if you speak without material contamination? All of you who are preachers have probably thought of this. When you're speaking to an audience, or just even one person or two persons, without material contamination, the reaction is, oh, I think you know everything. Why, it seems like you know everything, you see? So this is the effect of someone who speaks without material contamination. Someone who speaks with no material motivation. Their motivation is you, your well-being. Why, that means they're your well-wisher. That makes them like your dearmost friend. You're the first person that I've ever met. Those of you who preach, have you ever had someone say that to you? You're the first person to ever tell me this. They're amazed, you see. Association of the devotees who can present the topics of the Lord, the devotees who narrate the topics of the Lord, well, they seem like they know everything because they don't mix in any material contamination. They're not going to talk about politics. They're not going to talk about downer things. In other words, they're going to stay out of the modes and stay in the mode of pure goodness, you see. So this is the nature of someone who can actually have an effect on someone's life. So we have to always think like that and not let the material modes or anything that has to do with the modes, like material nonsense. We have to let that stay out of our vocabulary. So how does it get there? I remember back in the 70s, I guess it was 76 in part of 1977, I was in Gitanagari for a while. My wife and I lived in Gitanagari. I roomed with Dristadumna Swami, and my wife roomed with Keshava-bharti's. He was just Keshava-bharti Das in those days. Keshava-bharti Goswami's wife, Mother Kalini, who's left this world, gone back to Godhead. And so there were many wonderful Prabhupada disciples there. And one of them was Burijan Prabhu. Everyone knows Burijan. And Burijan is from New York. And he used to give class, and the classes would get, heavy, because everyone wanted to hear. So Burijan would say, you can't put garbage in your head. If you're reading newspapers, we didn't, believe it or not, this is going to be hard for you to believe, but we didn't have cell phones and internet in those days. I know, how did you live, right? So we didn't have any of that. But still, there was enough garbage for you to put in your head. You can watch television. What's it like when we're watching television? Well, we're associating with people who are in the modes completely, and it has an effect on you. Well, but I don't watch these shows. I just watch the news. Well, but the news is full of garbage. It's always someone trying to convince you. At least nowadays, you've got the news stations. One of them is for this party, and one of them is for that party. So whose Maya do you want? So I'm going to vote for the guy whose Maya aligns with my Maya. That makes, and then I'm going to watch the television news broadcaster who's more aligned with my illusion. You see, I'm an illusion. His illusion aligns with mine, so I think he's smart. You see? So, no, as Burijan said, you're putting garbage in your head. So what happens when you put garbage in your head? Garbage comes out your mouth. You're hearing garbage and you start talking garbage. So, and it works like that. So, and it's probably a little bit more difficult now because people walk around with the internet in their pocket. There's so much input from Maya. Maya has a chance to attack you every time you go into your phone, you know. There's always these notifications and things, and Facebook. Now some people say Facebook is nothing but Maya. But I have to disagree. When I don't know what I do differently, but when I go into my Facebook, which I try to use for preaching, I see pictures of deities, Harinam parties, tributes to Srila Prabhupada. There's so many devotees that take verses from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and nice pictures. And if you've just got a couple of minutes, sometimes I can just read a couple of verses on the phone and look at a nice picture. It's great. So many people. Shivaram Swami has these short little films that are on there. So I don't see anything on mine, and I don't know why. I don't know what I did. But some people say, no. And other people, you know, their phone is full of it. Now, I think it's probably Balaram Shakti that said that perhaps this is because maybe they were, before they became devotees, they had a Facebook account. So they have all the accumulated non-devotional Facebook stuff. So the internet came into being when I was a devotee, so maybe that has something to do with it. So it can help you, but it's a perfect, the internet is a perfect field for Maya to attract you. Hey, look at this, hey, do that. You know, you could look at, just in your phone. You don't need a television, or you can just look at your phone. You say, wow, look how they're wearing that. I've got to get a style like that. Look how this guy's wearing his hair. Wow, I think I could do that, you know. Well, I'd look like that. Well, I'd have a girlfriend like that too. You know, if you buy this product, if you dress like this, you see. So all of these distractions are there. Maya does a very good job. Even once we begin our surrendering process to Guru and Krishna, Maya is still everywhere. There's still all of these distractions. So we should try our best to associate with people who will give us the straight truth, people who will stay free from this material contamination. And therefore, when you hear it, you should seek out these people. And when you hear from them, you walk away enlivened. You can even feel, even though you've been a devotee for many, many years, many, many decades, you can actually feel like I've heard something that's making me advance even more. Like I'm having another life-changing event. I've had another realization. So the realization on top of realization is there. Excuse me. But you have to seek it out. You have to have proper association. You've got to hear, and you've got to hear proper. You've got to hear properly from people who speak properly. So I'm going to pause and see if there are any questions, comments. Yes, Prabhu, so good to see you.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Prabhu. We see in this world there are people who are not really, you could say, much on electronics, but still the modes are all pervasive, and the mind is kind of tuned into whatever we pay attention to. So how, as aspiring devotees, we stay clear of the modes of material nature even if we're in the Dham, we're offline for the most part. It's still, we feel that the modes are engaging and they're pulling us, and because of that, the 6 enemies are not far.
Well, it's like the mind through millions, billions, trillions of births. We've been here so long that in material scope, it's like an eternity that we've been here. So mind, intelligence, and false ego accompany us, body after body, birth after birth. So we've got a tremendous accumulation of potential sense objects and ways to enjoy the senses. We've got this accumulation. So it's like I feel the need for, I have a desire for some gratification. And so the mind acts like a menu. You know, when you go into a restaurant, they give you a menu. So I'm hungry. And so, let me look on here. I might do, let's see, no, I don't, oh, God, I don't want that. Oh, this is great, you see. So your mind will present to you like a menu. Well, I need some gratification. So the mind says, well, how about some thoughts about sex life? You know, that might even lead to sex life. Well, I don't know. Well, what you got? You know? So the mind starts digging through memories or potential things, and you see food. You know, you can say, well, I want to gratify my tongue. I want to gratify my senses somehow. So the mind starts giving you its menu, you see, of here's your choices. So we have to work hard to rearrange that menu that the mind gives us. You know, we have to eliminate some choices and add some choices. You know, do I want to take prasadam? Do I want to go to Mayapur Mellows and hear kirtan? You see, do I want to go to class? So that we have to train the mind to present us choices that will help us advance in spiritual life. So we have, and then it's like I often say, it's like you see these guys herding the cows down a path, you know, you see them here. And so there's always some guy behind the herd with real skinny legs. You ever notice? He's wearing gumsha around his waist, gumsha around his head, and he's got a little stick. And so here's the cows going down the path, and sure enough, one's going to wander away, and he's like, no. You know, sometimes he just hits the stick on the ground, but he'll tap them and they'll get back in line. Then another one goes off this way, and he taps them and gets them back in line. So the mind is like that. It's going to go down the path. It'll be a helper and taking you down, but then it'll start to wander. But we have to realize that, my dear mind, you are not me. You know, you really work for me. You're like my employee. So you have to tap it with a stick and say, nay, nay. And then it'll wander this way. No, it'll get back. So we have to always realize that when the mind is wanting this or wanting that, this isn't me. I'm not my mind. I'm not my body. I'm certainly not my mind. So I have to keep it trained like that, and that's a lot of work. That means I've got to hear. I've got to hear from the right sources. I've got to make sure I do not hear from the wrong sources. Otherwise, I get other stuff in my mind, and it gets on my menu that the mind says, oh, hey, how about this topic that everyone's arguing about? You know, no, I don't. Wait a minute, take that off the menu. I'm tired of that, you know. So it's constant. We have to work with our mind and train the mind. Does that answer your question? I mean, it's a full-time job. But after a while, the mind will work for you. Once it's trained and you get the menu that it's going to present to you, nice and clean, it gives you good choices. You know, do I want to hear this class or I don't want to hear that class? You know, here in Mayapur you can go to different Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam classes, the Russian class, the English class. There's classes that, the Bhagavatam class that's given by the MIHET. You know, there's so many opportunities for hearing. Do I want this kirtan? Do I want that kirtan? And so many choices of prasadam and so many things. So after some time of really, really working with the mind, it doesn't know anything but to give you, you've programmed it to give you clean choices. Choices that'll help. So it's a full-time business, full-time. Did you have a question?
But when we start choosing with our material mind, looking at it, oh, am I going to go to this kirtan or that kirtan, this class or that, we look, most of the times we look from the position of sense gratification, even with prasadam. We look at what satisfies my tongue, and we just start looking at those devotional things. It seems like in a mundane way. Is that an offense? If I say, oh, do I want to go to this kirtan if they play better there or that one? Because it's still the holy name, it's devotees who chant. But when I kind of make those choices, is that being offensive?
Well, I wouldn't call it offensive, because if all kirtan should be enlivening, okay? But we have to admit that some devotees enliven us more than others. Not that we're picking on one devotee or another, but I mean, gee whiz, Kadamba Swami really enlivens me when I hear him, you know. Indradumna Swami. So there's incredible choices out there. Niranjan Swami, you know. I mean, I can go on, and there's all these fabulous kirtans. Not all of the ones that enliven me are big, famous names. So I can distinguish between whose kirtan I want to go to without being offensive. That's not sense gratification, you see. It's gratification of the senses, but it's transcendental gratification of the senses. We're not like Mayavadis. We don't want to cease any enjoyment, any gratification, you see. We purify our gratification. And as far as prasadam, it's ideal if we think of my stomach is getting hungry. Excuse me. So what will I offer to Krishna today? What do I think Krishna would want? What am I going to cook for Krishna? So that's ideal. Ideal. Not like, gee whiz, I've got a taste for pizza. What do you say? I make a pizza for me. You know, you and I will have pizza. So we make a pizza. We're going to throw it on the offer, get Krishna to bless it. You know, here you go. Ding, 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 ding. Okay, you know, yeah, that's pious, but are you actually doing it to please Krishna? You know, wouldn't it be nice if we actually gave Krishna what he wanted? So, I mean, maybe we could even pretend that Krishna's a vegan, you know. So, what if he's not? Wow, and I'm giving them this stuff that doesn't have any, I don't know, that's another topic, but I've wondered about that. What if he's not a vegan? I don't think he is, do you? I mean, you know, he doesn't steal butter just to give it to the monkeys. So let's think about what Krishna wants, you see. Now, we may have health situations, and I have to eat a particular diet. I've got different doctors and different people and different disciples that are saying, you've got to eat this and you can't have that. And so I have to try that because I've got an old body, you know. After 75 years, these bodies start to wear out. So sometimes I think when I'm making my offering in the morning to Krishna, you know, I'm giving him chopped tomatoes, chopped cucumbers, and sprouted chana. And I'm thinking, this isn't really much of an offering, you know? But there's nothing else that I can eat right now, so please forgive me. This, I can't have anything else. There's no one else around that I can cook for and give it to them and just eat this. So at least I'm thinking, I'm sorry, Krishna, you know. So this is what I'm offering to you today. So going to a restaurant, we could say, well, that's sense gratification. I'm saying, do I want Russian food? Do I want Italian food? Do I want Bengali food? But it's prasadam. I'm going to a prasadam restaurant, you see, right here on campus. So that's very purified, isn't it? You know, at least I'm not going to some non-devotee establishment to eat some non-devotee food, non-devotee vegan food or whatever. So, does that explain it? Yeah. Yes, Mother.
Thank you for a really enlivening class. This is a comment, actually, not a question. Your lecture reminded me of Srila Prabhupada saying, first become conscious, then you can become Krishna conscious. Thank you.
It's good of you to remind us of that. We need to think of that. As soon as in the morning we become conscious, came out of the dream state. Let's try to get Krishna conscious as soon as possible. We were taught that the first thing in the morning, as soon as you roll out of bed, is to hit the floor and pay obeisances to your spiritual master. So that'll kind of kick it off. You know, I offer my obeisances to Prabhupada first thing, and that kind of get it started, at least thinking of Guru. Maybe I'll start thinking of Krishna. You know, we get Krishna conscious. We go to Mangal Arti, we go to the morning program, so we're going to be Krishna conscious. So when we walk away from breakfast, we've had this tremendously wonderful program designed by Srila Prabhupada to get us Krishna conscious. So when we go to breakfast, let's not have Gramya Katha for breakfast or with breakfast. You know, let's kind of keep the Krishna Katha going as much as we can, you see. So thank you for that comment. All right, I guess maybe one more, yeah.
Prabhuji, thank you for the wonderful class. So basically I understood that the only benefit is there when it is without material contamination, where if we hear or if we preach. So how do we be in that state without material contamination if preaching or hearing or any activities we do in devotional service?
We've got to have this connection with Krishna. Let's say this, you've got to have consciousness of your eternal connection with Krishna. So if we can purify ourselves, purify our mind to where we're remembering Krishna, but it's especially if we're giving class, but if we're just talking to people, we've got to, as Prabhupada said, we've got to Krishnaize our thoughts and Krishnaize our speech. Let's talk more about Krishna. Krishna is unlimited, so it's not like we're going to run out of things to talk about Krishna, you know. There's only so many things, there's a finite number of things about any material subject that you can talk about. Some of them may seem deeper than others, but Krishna is infinite. The thing is, we get attracted to these material things. Because if I say what's very popular right now and have a popular opinion, you may think that I'm pretty wise and pretty smart, you see, instead of thinking that Krishna, or, you know, I mean, maybe you've heard one of Radhanath Swami's classes, and I'm envious. So I'm going to mix in some material things so you'll think I'm smart. But in this verse it says, it appears as if Mahārāja knew everything because he stuck to topics of the Lord. It's like, you know everything. Wow, I'm amazed. So now you've got distinction, you see. But you shouldn't want distinction, but you get it because you're sticking to topics of the Lord. So, all right, I think I'm going over. Hey, right on time. It's not like me. Okay, thank you all so much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.